Hey everyone, I'm Liz Fairy and today I'm going to show you how I made the lower half of these basic crochet dolls. In the first part, I showed you how to make the upper half of the body. If you missed that tutorial, click the link on the screen to find it because you'll need the upper half of the body to start your doll. So I'm just going to continue where I left off in part 1. Before I start the lower half of the body, I'm going to make the arms and attach them to the sides of the body. But since I'm still not finished using this end of my yarn to make the body, I'm going to put this aside and use the opposite end of my yarn to make the arms. I've started my doll's arms the same way as I started the head in part 1 with a magic circle with 6 stitches of single crochet. If you don't want to use a magic circle, again there'll be a hole at the top, but you could just sew that closed if you don't want to use a magic circle. And if you want, you could increase the arms the same way we increased the head in part 1, by adding 6 increases per row until the arms are the right width, but I'm not going to do that for this doll. I'm just going to single crochet in each stitch, and I'm going to continue to add rows of single crochet until the arm is the right length. I'm going to go on for 8 more rows. Alright, I've finished with 8 more rows. Now I'm going to end this arm, so I'm going to slip stitch to the first stitch of the row and cut off a long tail of my yarn. I'm going to use that tail to sew the arm to the body, but first I'm going to repeat the same thing to create another arm. Okay, I've finished making 2 arms. Now I'm going to add a bit of fiber fill to each arm. I'm going to use the end of my hook to push the fill into the arms. And I've already added the wire skeleton that I made to the body. Next I'm going to slip the arms over the wires and sew on the arms. Now the arms are sewn on, so now I'm going to begin right where I left off at the back of the work. I had just finished decreasing the body so I could make the legs. Now that I've finished decreasing, I'm going to divide the row in half to make each of the legs. First I'm going to make sure that my first stitch is at the very back middle of the work. If your stitch drifted like mine did to after the middle back, go ahead and undo the last couple stitches so that you're at the very middle of the back. And make sure not to undo any of the decreases that you made in this row. Or if your stitches are too far to the other side before the middle back, continue to single crochet until you're at the very middle back. I'm going to undo 2 stitches, but where your first stitch is will probably vary because it depends on where you place the eyes in part 1. Next I need to chain 1 for every 12 stitches I have left in the row. First I'm going to count my stitches. I have 14 stitches in my row, so I'm just going to chain 1. Then I'm going to divide the stitches I have left in half, so I can find the number of stitches I need to skip to create the leg holes. If you want, you could just estimate where the middle of the front row is and just single crochet into about the middle front stitch of the row after making your chain, then continue to single crochet around to create the leg. But if you do that, the legs might be 2 different sizes when you finish, so to make the leg holes exactly the same size, I need to divide the total number of stitches in the row by 2. So since I have 14 stitches in my row, I'm going to count starting with the next stitch 7 stitches, because that's half the stitches I have left in my row. Alright, this is the 7th stitch. Now I'm going to skip all these other stitches and I'm going to single crochet into this 7th stitch. First, I'm also going to bring my chain in between these 2 leg wires to separate the wires into each leg hole. And then I'm going to single crochet into that 7th stitch. And I'm going to mark that as the new first stitch of the row. If you had an odd number of stitches left, just round down to the next even number and divide your row in half and count out that many stitches instead. Then instead of doing a regular single crochet in this stitch after your skipped stitches, you would decrease this stitch and the next stitch together so that you have an even number of stitches in your row. So now I'm just going to single crochet until I get back to the first stitch of my row. When I get to the chain in the middle, I'm going to only work into the back loop of the chain so that I can work into the outer loop when I make the next leg. And if you like, you could also mark these 2 stitches on either side of the chain in the middle. So the middle front stitch and the middle back stitch of the previous row, because when we come back to make the other leg later, these 2 stitches will count as a stitch each on the other side, and so will the outer loop of the chain in the middle. Okay, so I've finished with my first leg row. Next, I'm just going to single crochet into each stitch, and I'm going to continue to add rows of single crochet until the leg is the right length. So I'm going to go on for 5 more rows.
Calcium in milk helps bones grow.
Alright, I've finished with 5 more rows of single crochet. I'm going to create the feet next, but first I'm going to once again add a bit of fiber fill to the leg. Now I'm going to increase to create the foot. I'm going to increase 3 times at the back of the row and 3 times at the front of the row until the heel is a good size. I'm going to do this for just 1 row, but you can go on for as many rows as you like to increase the back of the foot. So I'm going to add my 3 increases here to the front. And then I'm going to single crochet until I get to the back, and I'm going to add 3 more increases. Okay, now I'm going to add 3 more increases here at the back. Alright, I finished increasing the back to create the heel of the foot. Now I'm going to end the heel, but I still want to make the foot longer. So I'm going to decrease 3 times at the back of the foot, and increase 3 times at the front of the foot until the foot is a good length. That way the back of the foot will get smaller while the front of the foot gets bigger. I'm going to go on increasing the front for 2 rows, but you can increase the foot for as long as you like. I just finished my 2 rows of increasing the foot. Now the foot is a good length, so I'm going to end it. To do that, I'm going to continue to decrease 3 times at the back of the foot, but I'm also going to start to decrease 3 times at the front of the foot too. I'm going to continue to do that until the hole is small enough to sew closed. So I'm going to continue decreasing for 1 more row. So I finished decreasing for 1 row. I'm going to put just a bit more fiber fill into the foot. Alright, I've added my fiber fill, now I'm just going to finish the foot. I have 9 stitches left in my row at the bottom of the foot. I want to make the hole just a little bit smaller, so I'm going to do 3 more decreases before ending the row. Alright, now the hole is small enough to sew closed, so I'm just going to slip stitch the next stitch of my row to end the row and cut off a long tail of yarn. And I'm going to use that tail to sew the hole closed. Alright, I've finished sewing the bottom of the foot closed. Before I make the next leg, I'm going to make sure to finish stuffing the body of the doll. And now I'm going to make the other leg. I'm going to pull up a loop using the same color into one of the skipped stitches at the base of the hips. I'll start at the back. And make sure you're working the stitches in the same direction as before, from this side to this side. Pull up a loop. Then chain 2. And that's going to count as the new first stitch of this row. So I'm going to mark it with my bobby pin. Then I'm going to single crochet into each of these stitches for 1 row, including these stitches that I marked earlier that I've already worked into, and into the chain I made at the middle. Alright, I've gotten to the middle. So I'm going to work into that first marked stitch. Then into the chain at the middle. And then into that last marked stitch. And now this leg should be the same number of stitches as the leg on the other side. Now I'm going to repeat what I did on the other side to create the rest of this other leg. So I finished making the other leg, and now the lower half of the doll's body is complete. If you missed the first part of this tutorial, you can find it by clicking the link in the description. You can also find the written pattern in my Ravelry store. That link is also in the description down below. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give it a like or share it on social media. If you want to add some hair to your doll, check out all my doll hair tutorials. You can find a playlist at the end of the video or check in the description. If you want to help me in making new videos, donate to my Patreon. It's entirely optional, but if you do, you can get some perks like having access to my videos a week before they're posted here on YouTube. You can find more information about that in the description below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, subscribe to my channel and I'll see you all next time. Bye!